Hi, cat. Come and get some mango, baby.
One, two, 1, 2, 3. Self-awareness is a superpower. My name is KathyLaDonna. Welcome to Soul and Vibration. I hope the free thinkers are doing well. And if you're not doing well, I'm happy to remind you that you are the most powerful person that you know. You are the most powerful person that you know because only you can create your reality. This video is part 1 about the full moon in Scorpio happening on May 12th, 12:56 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This video is of 5 things that I want to share with you about this full moon energy. Part 2 is available on Patreon, where I go over sun, moon, rising, pull cards, see what channel detail messages come through. When it comes to the 5 things that I would like to share with you about this full moon in Scorpio, the first thing is the numerology. When it comes to the numerology, I like to start off with the universal year, and we are in a 9 universal year. So with us being in a 9 universal year, that means collectively, it's like being in a 9 universal year for me is like we're all at the airport and we're coming and we're going. We're at the airport. We're at the airport and it's either you're coming to connect on a flight and go somewhere else, or you're getting ready to go somewhere else. So either way, in a 9 universal year, we're in a year of endings and beginnings. So being in a 9 universal year and having a full moon in Scorpio, then this is when something comes to a major end for us around our psychology, because Scorpio deals with that. Scorpio energy also deals with our finances, but more investing, credit, and things like that. I'll get more into that later. But with just being in a 9 universal year, I want you to keep in mind that this is a year where things are coming to an end pertaining to scorpionic energy within your life. And it's more of the psychology behind the scorpionic energy and how it shows up in your life, in your chart. And it's like things are coming to an end because you're gaining new perspective and you're releasing old ones. So you want to keep that in mind. And when it comes to the things that we're releasing, it's things that we've been holding on to for a long time, because with us being in a 9 universal year, next year we'll be in a 1 universal year. Being back at 1 again, it's like a reset. We're entering into a new world. And in order to enter into this new world, we need to release the things that are no longer working. So yes, keep in mind that whatever ending comes with this full moon in Scorpio, it's a major one. It's not one to be taken lightly, is what I'm trying to get to. So when it comes to the month, we are in the 5th month, and being in the 5th month, May is the 5th month. The number 5 deals with sudden and unexpected changes. And when it comes to the sudden and unexpected changes, it'll feel as if the changes that come through this full moon, like it came out of nowhere. And I feel like the reason why it'll feel as if it came out of nowhere is because at the time when it happened, we were looking over there and it happened over there and it caught us off guard. But really, we weren't focused on that. And also too, with the number 5 energy, I think of how the number 5 energy is a lucky energy, where it's like this thing happens out of nowhere, but an opportunity that's even better than what the perceived loss is pops up out of nowhere also. The day of the full moon is the 12th. The number 12 energy, the 1 represents new beginnings. It's a masculine energy reflecting ideas. The number 2 is a nurturing feminine energy, and 1 + 2 is 3. So even though this is a full moon energy, something is being birthed in the process. And like I say, a circle for me, a circle reflects an ending and a beginning. And because the ending and the beginnings are connected, there's always a reason to celebrate. So something is released, but something replaces it very quickly. And something about the 5th month and the day being the 12th brings me to that, where the 5th month, something comes in unexpectedly. The 12th month, the 12th day, 5th month, something comes in unexpectedly. Being the 12th day, this thing that comes in is actually also a new beginning, a new outcome. And then being in a 9th year, whatever is being released feels like something generational, something that has been a part of our world for a long time. And the energies in the day of the full moon adds up and reduces to number 8 vibration. And the number 8 deals with systems and cycles. And with the number 8 dealing with systems and cycles, like for me, the number 8, every number is important and has its role. And the number 8 also deals with authorities. It's a teacher and it's also a student. But for me, what always stands out about the number 8 is how you put it on this side and you get the infinity. Not the whole infinity thing that stands out, but it's the whole system and cycle. It's like, imagine something like a hamster on a wheel, just repetitive, a repetitive thing. When I think of the number 8 energy, I think of reflecting on the systems and the cycles within our lives. I think of us reflecting on the outcome or where we are in our situations. And from reflecting on where we are within our situations, we ask ourselves, am I happy with this or do I want something more? And if you're happy with it, that means that what it is, the system that you are working with is perfect because it's getting you exactly what you want. But if you look around your life, you look around at your situation and you don't like the outcome, it's because you're operating from a system that doesn't work for you. And like I say all the time, we've been given systems that who knows where these systems will get us. But more than likely, these systems won't get us to a place of happiness. Because when it comes to a system, I don't feel like a one-size-fits-all system should work. A one-size-fits-all system works for everyone. And collectively, we've been given a one-size-fits-all system, a way to go about eating, whether it's the food pyramid, which is a joke, and other things that is systematic within our society that we're supposed to follow. You know, you go to college, you get married, you do this, you do that, and it's like a person follows everything within the system and they're miserable and they're confused, and then ashamed that they're miserable and confused because they must be broken, why they're not happy with their outcome because you were supposed to be happy with it. And it's like, no, the system to me is the cheat code, and we all need to assess ourselves and understand what system best fits with us. But before we could even do that, first you have to know thyself. And also, so when I think of the system of a thing, it brings me to Scorpion energy, the psychology. It's like the psychology is what supports the system. The mindset is what keeps that system going. And with this full moon energy, something needs to come to an end when it comes to a system that is no longer working. The full moon is at 22 degrees. And that 22 degree is a powerful degree. It's a master builder degree. And with the 22 degree, for me, that's an intense one. The number 2 repeated, the number 2 is nurturing. But I personally feel when it comes to master numbers, and you know, a lot of people won't agree with me on this, but for me, when it comes to master numbers, I feel like master numbers can be imbalanced energy. It could be imbalanced energy because it's too much of that energy, too much of that one energy. Where I think of, like, say the number 11, the master a number 11 is like too much one energy, and it could turn against itself because, you know, the ego, the ambition, the ideas, and it's so much of it to where a person might not know how to wheel it if they weren't taught how to work with that energy. And it could be too much. Like the master builder 22, the number 2 energy is repeated. It could be too much. Where it's like the number master builder 22 is probably overly nurturing to the point that they self-sacrifice if they're operating on a lower frequency. Because like I said, when I was speaking about the number 11 energy, you know, people need to be taught how to work with these energies and make the most of these energies so that they don't self-destruct. Because I feel when it comes to the master energies, it could easily cause a person to self-destruct because there is an overflow of that one energy. And with the full moon being at 22 degrees, I think of the number 22 energy. And if you're someone who's born on the 22nd, or that is your life path number, you might be able to relate to being a workaholic to a certain extent, because the 22s that I've observed, they're the kind of people that they work hard. When they go to work, they give work their all, but then at the same time, they're the best moms or dads, and they're giving their all to their children. They're giving their all to their job, but then they're also the ones who remembers your birthday to give you a gift or surprise you with something. And it's like, where does the energy and the time come in for them? Because they're over nurturers, like they're nurturing everybody but themselves. And that's problematic, because I feel like that's where a person could struggle with burnout sometimes. And with the overdoing of energy of the number 22 brings me back to the energies in the day adding up, reducing to the number 8 vibration, and a person taking a step back, looking at their situation, looking at the fruits that they've been bearing. And the fruits that you've been bearing are your results. And if you want to bear new fruits, something needs to shift within the mindset. So now I move on to the second thing that I want to share with you about this full moon in Scorpio. And the second thing is what happens when we have a full moon in Scorpio. So a full moon is when the sun and the moon are both in opposing signs at the exact degree. So with a full moon in Scorpio means that something shifts and evolves to the next level, or comes to an end pertaining to things scorpionic. Or it could shift and come to an end pertaining to things in your life where that scorpion energy resides for you. And when it comes to say things scorpionic, a first thing that I think of scorpionic, I think of values. Something shifting for someone and coming to an end when it comes to their psychology. Because first we have the values, but then we have to have the psychology to support the values. Where a full moon is an opposition between the sun and the moon. The sun is in Taurus, the moon is in Scorpio. Taurus is the tangible things that we value on the earthly realm. And Scorpio is the invisible mindset or psychology that guards the things that we value. So with the full moon in Scorpio, something comes to an end when it comes to something's scorpionic in your life. So for someone, it could be that around the full moon, you decide that you're serving or signing divorce papers. Either you get them or you make up your mind that you're doing that. For someone, some kind of a contractual agreement comes to an end, whether you're intentionally ending it or you're moving on. But like I mentioned earlier, us being in a 9 universal year, for me, for some, it could be like a contract or a thing that has been going on for a period of time. And it's like, instead of, we're renewing our vows and taking it to the next level, we decide, we're better as friends and we've come as far as we can go. So with Scorpio, something comes to an end with some contractual agreement, and a marriage is a contractual agreement. Something comes to an end with something around investing, something around our finances, something around our psychology, which is our mindset, something around our sexuality, something around spirituality and divination, just to name a few. The third thing that I want to share is the challenges around this full moon. So the first challenge is the full moon itself. And the moon is in Scorpio. And for me, whenever the moon is in Scorpio, that is the most, it's so obvious for me when the moon is in Scorpio, because that's the day when I'll wake up and feel like crap for no reason. And of course, everyone, that's not going to be your experience. But on those days when you wake up and you just feel achy, but more of an emotional achy feeling, normally the moon is in Scorpio, and that is triggering instability, because Scorpio is an energy that deals with power and control. And whenever we feel out of control about something, it's going to be loud when the moon is in Scorpio. To me, when the moon is in Scorpio, it's an opportunity to do shadow work. It forces us to face certain parts of ourselves that's hard to face. And also too, with the moon in Scorpio, for me, it's a dark night of the soul experience, because there is with the dark night of the soul experience for me, it reflects a conflict between the mind and the heart. The mind for me is tied to repetitive energy, where the mind only wants us to engage with things that are familiar. So the mind will keep us stuck and stagnant, where the heart wants us to venture off and explore. It wants us to grow. The heart trusts, the mind is afraid. So when the heart is ready for us to explore something new, or our spirit is ready for a new experience and it wants us to make changes, but the mind is like, no, I can't let us go there. I don't know what's going to happen. I fear the unknown, then they battle. And eventually, the heart has to win. And I feel for the people where the mind continues to win, that's when, we start to see physical illness and things of that nature, reflecting the heart not getting the way, the soul not getting the way, and instead the mind winning. Also too, with the challenges around a full moon in Taurus is the opposition. An opposition is a push. It's like a tug of war. Taurus is pulling, the sun in Taurus conjunct Uranus is pulling us in one direction, and the moon in Scorpio is pulling us in the other, and they're both pulling on us, and it's stressful. And I like to compare a full moon to like a child being born to parents who don't like each other. And that's tough, because with that child, to me, it's almost like there's this torn feeling within themselves. Because with the opposition of the parents, pushing and pulling, or even a child with the sun and the moon squaring, it would feel as if like when you're with one parent, you're missing out on the other. And when you're with the other, you're missing out on the other. And it feels like you can't have them both. And I feel like within a person's natal chart, it might feel like a split within oneself. And I know with me, with having my moon and my sun square, I do feel like there's a split within me, as my moon brings me here to YouTube, and my sun and stellium and Scorpio don't always like that I'm here. Mostly don't like that I'm here. But I've grown to like the split, because the split forces me often to I think of the family that is constantly having family meetings. And the split causes me to have family meetings within me where I'm reflecting on ways how to merge all aspects of myself. Where I imagine if they conjunct each other, or if they were positively aspecting. I feel like for people who have that, when it comes to pursuing certain things could be so easy for them because they're not being challenged by the opposition within themselves, or the fight within them, different parts of themselves, like being so different. But at the same time too, I feel like, when a person doesn't have the opposition or the square or the challenge of the sun and the moon, sometimes I feel like that ability to self-check or reflect might not be as frequent or often, because there's never a need to, because everything often feels so smooth, if that makes sense. But the challenge is the opposition. And for me, with any opposition or square, you just have to learn how to come to a compromise within the energy. Or in some cases, it's a matter of knowing what's more important. And from that place of what's more important, then you set boundaries with the other. Where for me, with my moon and my sun squaring, I had to come to a compromise, where I would look at it as living in a house and all your placements are different roommates, and some of them get along better with others. And depend on where they're placed in the house is the aspects that they make to each other. And you have to do things in a way where they can all feel seen and feel good together. So at the opposition of the sun and the moon and coming to a mutual space, I feel first we have to address the sun. And we first have to address the sun energy to come to a common ground between this opposition with this full moon. We first address the sun energy by reflecting on the values. What is it that you value, and why do you value the things that you value? Taurus deals with the values. And with Taurus dealing with the values, a lot of our values, most of our values, just came from repetitive actions of the people who raised us. us seeing them do certain things over and over and over again. And we started doing those things, not knowing why we do those things. An example of that is, I think of this lady a video I saw on the internet where this lady, the way she would bake, like she would use these tiny ass pans I don't remember exactly how it went, but it's like she would use these tiny ass pans to bake, or not the pans. She would either do something to the thing that she's baking, and her husband asked her, why do you do that? Because it seems stupid to him. And she's like, I don't know, my mom always does it. In her mind, she thinks it makes the thing come out better. And then when she called her mother on three-way to ask her why, because her husband just know this is stupid. It don't make no sense. It's wasteful also. I don't remember exactly what it was. The mother said she did it the way she did it back then because she only had a tiny baking tin. That's all she can afford. Because she could have only afforded a small baking tin, she prepared things the way she did with what she had. And then the daughter, seeing her do that her whole life, thought that's just the way it's done, never questioned why she was doing it that way. And that's Taurus energy, and the second house in our chart, our values. We do certain things and value certain things and often don't even question why we do it or value it. Or sometimes we don't even know that we value it until it comes out. And I feel like the reason why we need to address the values first, because Scorpio, the opposition, is the psychology that supports the value. So it's like the lady doing whatever wasteful things she does or silly things she does. I think it might be something with making a roast or something that she does. And it's like she values doing it that way. And the mindset behind doing it that way, mom always did it this way. This is what we do. So the mindset supported her actions. So with Taurus energy and the sun there, we got to look at the things that we value. And recently we had a new moon in Taurus. So we have new values. And now with us having these new values, we now have to release the old psychology that support the old values. And with the release of the old psychology, the old mindset, of course, a shift in mindset is a shift in one's life overall. So the fourth thing that I want to speak on is what's unexpected when it comes to this full moon energy. And I feel what's unexpected when it comes to this full moon energy for me is the ease. It's like, yes, this full moon will feel intense in some ways because there's certain things that are challenging when it comes to the chart. Whether it's the opposition of the full moon, or it's the T-square between Mars and Leo, Mercury and Taurus, and Pluto in Aquarius. But like the opposition of the full moon is talking about a shift in values and then a need to have a shift in psychology to support the values. Or also too, real quick, with the opposition of Scorpio and Taurus, I think of Taurus being tangible assets and Scorpio being non-tangible assets, and having a nice balance when it comes to the tangible things we own and the non-tangible things that we own. Because with the full moon in Scorpio, we're releasing some of the non-tangible things that we own because something around them don't work anymore. And maybe when it comes to the unexpected energy, maybe there's major unexpected energies happening with the stock market. Because for me, Scorpio rules the stock market energy because it's money that we make that doesn't come through our physical actions. And when it comes to also the unexpected energies of this, I was speaking on the T-square of Mars, Mercury, and Pluto. Mercury in Taurus, like the sun in Taurus energy, the mind is on our values. But with Mercury there, it's like the lady who valued doing the things she did, but not know why she did it. And that's squaring Pluto in Aquarius, that's creating changes when it comes to our friend groups and the people we associate with. And Mars and Leo were motivated by ourselves and the need to express ourselves and focus on ourselves. And for me, when it comes to the unexpected energies, for me is forcing us to become clear about the old things that we want to leave behind and what we want to implement. And I feel like with Mercury and Taurus, Our mind is reflected on the stability that comes from familiar things. I feel stable and secure doing things this way just because. With Mars and Leo wants to focus on us, the individual. To me, Mars and Leo is like the husband questioning, why do you do it that way? And she's like, my mother always did it this way. And he's like, I want to know why, because it's like, it's not enough for him to just, for her to just do it because her mother did it, because it don't make sense. And I feel like with Taurus energy, a lot of the times things don't make sense, but we'll continue to do them because they're familiar. And with Mars energy and Leo, we have the courage to want to do something else. And I feel like with the unexpected energy, it's helping us to be clear on what we're ready to leave behind and what we want to move forward with. But also too, with the unexpected energy, like I said, major shift, maybe some news about people's what is it called? 401k, the retirement stuff. When it comes to people, ways that people choose to prepare for their future. Certain things don't make sense to me, and I like to go about things in ways that make sense to me, like the husband wondering why the wife does things that way, and she's like, because my mother does. And I'm like, the husband, just because your mother do it, like, you need to know why she does it. And I'm big on liking to know why I do everything that I do and not just do it blindly. And Taurus energy could be good for that, doing things blindly. So with the unexpected energy, unexpected news about people's investments, unexpected news about people's retirements, unexpected news about marital status, unexpected news about one's psychology. Those are some things that could be popping up when it comes to this full moon in Scorpio. But the fifth thing that I want to go into is the blessings. And when it comes to the blessings around this full moon in Scorpio, for me, the blessings, I look at, say, how the full moon is being positively aspected by Saturn in Pisces. Saturn in Pisces. And with Saturn in Pisces, also conjunct the North Node in Pisces. So Saturn energy has been transiting Pisces for some time now. And Pisces is the dreamer, and Saturn creates boundaries when it comes to our dreams. Saturn helps us to monetize our dreams by, being more structured and organized and seeing them through. Saturn helps us to not just dream the dream, but, being disciplined when it comes to time to pursue the dream. So with Saturn making that transit, a lot of us have been able to monetize certain things in our lives that felt like just wishful thinking or a dream hobby, when really it could have been a career. It's just the boundary was lacking. And with the North Node in Pisces, destiny at this time collectively is to go in a direction of the dream. And with that positively aspecting the full moon, for me, Scorpio and Pisces energy it's a really good combination. I used to have this compatibility zodiac book, and it had a Scorpio and a Pisces on the front cover. And I feel like Scorpio and Pisces are such a perfect match for each other, even though they can be problematic, but they're a perfect match because Scorpio deals with the death and the rebirth. Scorpio deals with the pain of the ending and the beginning. And Pisces creates not an environment, but a mental state to help to get through the death and the rebirth. So Scorpio is the mother giving birth. She's pushing and it's painful. Pisces is the breath work that she learns to help to make the birth effortless. Scorpio is, the mother giving birth again. Pisces is the epidural that the mother gets to give birth. So Scorpio is dealing with the death and the rebirth and the transition, and Pisces guides Scorpio energy through. They make a perfect team in that way. On a negative side, though, they could make a bad team in the sense that Scorpio is dealing with the hard things that Scorpio deals with, and Pisces will be the Scorpio's drinking buddy. Pisces will be the Scorpio's smoking buddy. Pisces will be the Scorpio's sex buddy. Pisces will be the Scorpio's buddy. But either way, together, they're getting through whatever the situation is, even if it's not always in the best ways. So when I look at the moon positively aspecting Saturn in Pisces, yes, the full moon is stressful because there's a push and pull between the tangible things that we own, and we're losing some of the non-tangible things that we own, like people's investments and things of that nature. But Saturn and Pisces helps them to feel hopeful about the ending because they're seeing how. It's like, to me, this full moon, when I speak about the aspect between Scorpio and Pisces, is like someone experienced a loss, but that aspect is like, I see how I could gain it all back and so much more. That's what I'm getting from that aspect. And now with Saturn conjunct the North Node positively aspecting the Sun, they're creating a sextile. And Taurus and Pisces do well together. Imagine Venus and Neptune. You know, Pisces energy is, you know, we lock in all day. And the Taurus, we're enjoying a beautiful environment, eating good foods while we're watching movies. Like Taurus and Pisces also go really well together. Because when I think of Neptune and Venus energy getting lost together, it could be positive and beautiful, and it could be destructive, like I mentioned with the Scorpion energy. But when I think of Venus and Pisces, to me, when I think of Pisces and Taurus and the coming together, it's so different than Scorpio and Pisces, where to me, Scorpio and Pisces feel like they're on a mission. They're on a mission, where Taurus and Pisces feel like we're having a good time. And during the full moon, the blessing is Saturn and Pisces conjunct the North Node, speaking to the Sun in Taurus. So yes, Sun in Taurus, dealing with the full moon again, the opposition between the tangible and the non-tangible. And Sun in Taurus, we're identified with the tangible things in society, and positively aspecting Saturn in Pisces, we're identified by these things. Uranus is there creating changes. With the Sun with Saturn in Pisces, speaking to that, it's like, yes, it's stressful, but I'm going to take some time away and reflect and, make myself feel better. So I feel like even though this full moon could feel stressful on many levels, I feel like Saturn in Pisces. I feel like Pisces saves the day with that. I also love the trine being made between Saturn and Pisces and Pluto in Aquarius and the Sun conjunct Uranus in Taurus. So again, Saturn energy is creating something with time and structure that's really beneficial to the major changes that are happening within our friendships. Or I think of Saturn and Pisces and us collaborating or connecting with others who can, we can help each other when it comes to pursuing our dreams. And those dreams are Sun and Taurus, tangible things that we would like to obtain. Let's pause for a bit. I am proud of the services that I offer and excited to tell you about them. If it would be your first time booking with me, then I recommend the natal chart and numerology awareness coaching session. For a while, that was the only service I offered, along with the 30 minutes tarot reading, which is still available if you're interested. I noticed the pattern. At the end of the natal chart and numerology coaching sessions, some of you would ask me for a follow-up service options for additional clarity and guidance to assist you with whatever you're going through at the moment. I kept saying, I'll look into it. I don't know why it took me so long. Finally, I have created that option along with the service option to book a solar return chart reading for those of you who are strategic and like to plan ahead. Everything you need to know is within the description box below. Let's get back into the video. So for me, the blessings when it comes to this full moon in Scorpio, hands down, comes down to releasing mindsets that don't belong to us, mindsets that are generational. We've been thinking this way forever. We've held this psychology forever. And it's time to let it go. It's time to let it go and make space for something else. This video was part 1 of the full moon in Scorpio. Part 2 is available on Patreon. Pleasure sharing this message with you. Let me know you're here with me by dropping me a pink heart in the comment box below. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Love yourself as if your life depended on it, because it does. Take care of yourself, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.